Howdy, y'all. Welcome to another episode of Contagious Smile Unstoppable with Victoria, the sexy redheaded vixen over here,
Whatever.
and then just the old rednecks, Michael.
Hi, baby.
Howdy.
How are you?
I'm full.
Uh,
Uh, can I say Firehouse Subs?
we already said Firehouse Sub.
Well, there you go. A shameless plug for Firehouse Subs. Y'all get that brisket.
That what?
That brisket.
I have to tell you, people are telling me I'm getting a little country.
You are country.
No, I used to talk like this.
No, that
Yeah.
has got to go.
No, and you'd always say, get back down south.
That's right.
Because I'd say, go upstairs. What are you talking about? Let's have some coffee. And you have turned me into a little southern belle. It's like a little bit.
Well, you did wear some overalls for our last wedding.
I did. It's called a rumper.
A rumper.
A rumper.
I thought that's what you do. It's like
That's thumper.
It's like wrestling.
It's like what?
Wrestling.
What the hell is a wrestling?
You know the men in the speedos in the ring.
Remember the stuff that's fake?
It ain't fake.
It is.
How dare you blaspheme against WWE, WWF?
It is fake.
There was nothing fake about Hulk Hogan.
Whatever. They're all fake throwing chairs and stuff. So a lot of people are learning that we are not playing on our phone while we're podcasting.
I do.
No.
I'm very busy.
What? And that we are launching our academy. And a few people are starting to take notice.
I would say more than a few, young lady.
What do you mean?
Well, you have.
We
have been awarded. I can't even. I've lost count. At least 8 different awards or nominees. I don't know. You've got so many dang invitations on these awards.
No, we won all of them.
So I've lost count.
Okay.
You know, kind of like you and your doctorates. I've lost count. How many doctorates you have?
Whatever.
So here I'm looking at one Insider Weekly 2025 Review of the Year Awards. A Contagious Smile. Best of Transformative Trauma Advocacy for Domestic Violence.
Yeah.
So that award goes to us.
Thank you for getting it right.
And thank y'all, y'all made this possible.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's just one of them. I know she's the wife has been featured in several magazines.
Women's Week.
Newspaper week lately.
International Business Journal.
What's that other one? That big one.
Which
the
one?
New York Times?
That hasn't come out yet.
Not yet?
Not yet, but I'm being interviewed for Women on a Mission and creative, some kind of entrepreneur voices and podcasting. And I'm trying to think. But it's all because of all of the wonderful people we're getting to work with that makes such a difference. And June is PTSD month, which is awful that anybody has to endure PTSD because it's not an easy walk. That is for sure to go through. And I already know what my husband's going to say because we finish each other's sentences. Even at Firehouse, we're like kidding around and he does this thing with his hand, you have to see. And then all of a sudden he shoots me a bird. Well, that ended up going like in a mirror effect tonight. Like we always do that to each other. We can finish each other's sentences. We can do all sorts of fun, crazy things that just solidify our unity. Oh, pumpkin.
Brownie points.
Maybe. So anyway, we're talking about the whole PTSD thing. And I know what he's gonna say. Just wait for it. So I created a class today on PTSD, and it is free in our academy. We have a bunch of free mini courses, and then we have very low cost courses. And I've researched, and a lot of the courses that contain the content that we have are anywhere from like $49 to $3.99. Yeah, they're all over the place. But for the most part, I would say most of them are $4.99, $4.99. There is many, many free. There are some, I think, that are as much as $12.99. Some, not many. Which is nothing. And then if you want to learn how we have gained all of you amazing people, I have taught how we've done it because I haven't had a marketing team. I haven't had a group of people helping me promote. I've done this. And so I'm teaching classes, and we've seen classes. It's outrageous.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was like, maybe I need my eyes checked again.
800 plus thousands.
Thousands of dollars.
Thousands.
And it basically, no offense to them, but it's kind of a more mundane course where it's just kind of like, I don't know how you would describe it. It's like, okay, here we are at the next. And I mean, you've taken classes I've taught when you're in law enforcement. You have to be more energetic and outgoing, and you have to like, bring life into your course, no matter what the trauma is or what the course is about, because you have to keep it where people want to keep their attention in it.
So let me pause right there. Let me read a comment from one of the recent subscribers.
Oh, don't say name.
I didn't.
Okay. Okay.
And they signed up for one of the courses in our stucco squad.
Love stucco
for
squad.
their son. And this is what they had to say. After I asked them, welcome, and did you take the course? Already knowing the answer that they did. Yes, my son loved it and wants to do another. Thanks for what you guys do. I love the show, by the way. Rolling on the floor, laughing my off.
Okay, I didn't know what that all thing
It's okay.
was.
But, that's so nice to hear that, somebody took the course and they enjoyed it, and their son enjoyed it, or their daughter enjoyed it, and the fact that they want more.
And they're all humorous. The dog classes, the stucco squad, they help your little one realize how amazing they are, really let them see the star that they are. We really make sure that they really see that no matter what the condition is, no matter what the circumstances are, we're going to make sure they see that they're amazing. And I see people all the time. People stare at me everywhere I go. And
because you're gorgeous.
No, it's because I'm
Sexy.
completely scarred from one side to the other. And I look like
you got sexy scars.
I look like I am a walking toolbox with a dinner, because I have a plate, and I have some screws and some pins, and I have a lot of wires with the whole screw and hammer and nail. And
moving forward.
Anyway, so I have lots of scars. I get stared at more by adults than kids. Kids think it's cool because I don't want them to be scared, and I'll be like, oh, I'm Captain Hook's sister. And so they think that's really cute. And I'll never forget when we were in a store, and this cute little 3 or 4-year-old little girl was like, what happened? And I said, I lost my arm. And she said, Mom, I'm going to help this nice lady find her arm. And I said, if you could find my arm in this store, I'll buy you everything in it. Which, thank God, my arm wasn't in it, because I wouldn't have been able to. But anyway, I get stared at all the time. And if anybody, and this isn't me, my husband will tell you, this is not me being pity party for myself. If anybody has a reason to really hate life, I would safely say that would be me. Yeah. Because I've had well over 100 surgeries. I am deaf. I have hearing aids. We just got really bad news not even a week ago that makes that even worse if possible. I've been even diagnosed with CRPS, which is complex regional pain syndrome. I've been told that the more hearing impaired and deaf that I get, my speech will change, because I won't be able to continue to hear the soundation of the words, which I'm seeing. I don't know if my husband's picked it up yet, because he'll say, what did you just say? Because if you ever listen to like Marlee Matlin, who is deaf, and she was on Dancing with the Stars, I love her, but her talk is very different. Her articulation is very different. And a lot of people who are hearing impaired, and I'm like 98% in one and 80 something in the other, without my hearing aids. And pretty soon that's going to change radically. And then I literally in the morning have to get up and be like, some people get out of bed, put their feet on the floor and go get a cup of Joe. And, I have to like unplug and plug in. And, it takes me forever, because I need my own USB strip to plug up my lifeline, literally, to be able to function on a daily basis. And then I have to charge up at night. And let me tell you, some of the charging isn't as pleasant as some people might think. So it's a lot. And, if you don't find the silver lining around all of it, then you absolutely would be the most depressed, hateful person in the world. You really would. And I always have to be the one who brings laughter and jokes about it. But there's a few things that are for sure. When you're a redhead, which I am, and you go into surgery, for the few times that I have had anesthetic, I refuse to take any pain medication after. And even my husband's like, would you please? Nope, not doing it. Even after amputation, my whole face being replaced with metal and stuff, I still wouldn't do it. And the thing is that it is true. This is a fact that when you go for surgery, it takes more anesthetic to put a redhead under than normal blondes, brunettes, anything like that. And it's because we have a higher pain tolerance, right? It's also harder to put someone who has PTSD under, which I thought, okay, that's kind of unusual. But to this day, which is almost 2 decades later, my husband is the only person who can touch my throat, the only one, because it's one of my last still hanging on unfortunate triggers. And I had to have cellular blocks done, stellar gate blocks. See, stellar gate blocks done, and it's done through the neck. Well, I've had the same surgeon who's probably, when it comes to those, done. I don't know how many surgeries did you say he's done? At least maybe close to a dozen and a half, 2 dozen surgeries, and he can't come near my throat. And it's just a trigger. Even when if I'm even twilighted, I can't have anybody near my throat. And so that is a legitimate PTSD symptom. And for those of you that have not had or gone through anything that's caused PTSD drama, you can't imagine what this is like to go through it. I mean, you think that everything is fine 1 minute, and the next minute something happens, and you're completely scared to death. A lot of our vets have PTSD. A lot of law enforcement have PTSD. 99.999% of every beautiful human being I've ever talked with or had the pleasure of working with that had unfortunately met with me because of abuse, they all have PTSD. And it's a really hard uh, thing to live with. And a lot of people who don't understand it don't get it. I mean, as a man, what is it like to have PTSD?
So, as you know, I was in the Air Force, and then I did 13 and a half years in law enforcement. And all that time in law enforcement, I was on the road as a police officer. I was a private detective. I was inside the jail for 4.5 years as a sheriff's deputy, and then I was a canine officer. And in any of those departments, you are always on
High alert.
high alert. You're on pins and needles. You're watching your back. You're
It's like a special
shoulder.
needs parent. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when Faith was little, like you come in on that high, and it's not a high you want to be, it's adrenaline where you're like, okay, what's gonna happen? I gotta be ready at any moment because you don't know what's coming. And I've been like that with our kid every single day because she would have a seizure, she would pull out her tracheostomy, she'd pull out her feeding tube, and it's the same thing. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Please go ahead.
And it happens in a blink of an eye.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
you turn your back for a second. Oh, I'm just gonna put this down in the bathroom. And in that time frame, it hits the fan. We're like, what happened?
You get an occlusion, you ended up coding, and it's like a domino effect. Like if she got an occlusion in her trach, and she'd be fine 1 second, and then the next thing you know, she had an occlusion in her trach, and then she would, turn blue, and the suction wouldn't come out, and you have to do an emergent trach change, and then you have to hope that the granuloma doesn't form in there from doing the trach change, pretty emergently. It's the same thing with any kind of PTSD. It's a trauma effect.
So I wasn't a combat vet, but I was, like you said, on high alert every time I went on duty, because not one only am I a target, but I'm going into the danger zone.
Right. When everybody else is running out, you're running in.
Right. So, yeah, there would be nights I'd wake up and, y'all know that I've been married 3 times. This is my soulmate right here beside me. That I pulled a gun and put it across the wife's chest.
Not mine.
Not hers, but the number 2 wife. And I was going to shoot the shadow man coming out of my wall. And I was in the moment. He was going to die because, he was coming out of my wall.
Right.
After me. And then, you have to wake up when you finally realize somebody's screaming in your ear.
But what's amazing is when you have unconditional love and you have unconditional respect and you have someone that you can talk to and confide in and doesn't look at you with judgment or negativity, but looks at you with honor and values you because you're opening up to them and they're trusting you, it makes healing in your journey of healing better. And I'm just saying this because I've been where he is and where he was, but now my husband doesn't have those anymore. Like since we've been married, we have to snuggle every single night. We
Snuggle.
cuddle. We're touching in some form, and even if I move, he has to put his foot near me. He has to bring his feet near me, or
My small feet.
your feet ain't small. So anyway, he always, we're always touching each other, but he hasn't had those shadow man dreams since we've been married. And it's when you have that sense of safety and understanding, just like with me and my neck. I mean, even if I'm half asleep and he touched my neck, I'm okay. But if somebody else did it, they're probably going to get thrown across the room. And
Is that
that's,
because you're a second-degree black belt?
well, I got to hand it to you.
Ha ha ha.
But I'm just saying it's because we feel safe and secure with one another that makes that okay. But what also comes with PTSD, especially with women who have any kind of scars, is body dysphoria. I openly admit that I have body dysphoria. We'll go somewhere and we'll see a woman that is,
Whoa, let's clarify that. I'm not looking for a woman, y'all.
we'll
I
see
got my eyes on
somebody,
my woman.
we'll see somebody who's, 200, 250 pounds. And, there's some beautiful, larger women. Like, I'm sorry, I think Melissa McCarthy is just gorgeous. And she's a
Oh,
bigger
she's
person.
hilarious.
She's hilarious. But if you've ever seen her not doing, her regular movies and you've seen her interview, she's very beautiful. She's a very beautiful woman. The girl who was in This Is Us, Christina Metz, she's very beautiful. I mean, you can be beautiful in any size, but back before I was abused by my ex, I was a junkie when it came to working out. Everybody has an addiction of some sort. Mine was in the gym. I was in the gym at least once, if not twice a day. Uh, I was obsessed to the point where some people would say it's an addiction. Like I wanted to make sure that I didn't, eat 1 calorie over where I was supposed to, and then to go from there to where I am now, where I have put on weight, and it's because instead of pain medication over the last, almost 20 years, I have ate my pain because I couldn't take anything to help with the pain because I'm taking care of my daughter, and I just need to be ready to help her at a blink of an eye. And that's how I always have been.
I thought it was my good cooking.
Yes, you will hear my husband say often that he brings me breakfast in bed every morning.
Y'all
And
hear that? Every morning.
yes, and that's amazing that
Don't ruin it.
you go in to the freezer,
Don't ruin it.
take out some Nutri-Grain waffles
Son of a.
and defrost, and then bring them up to me with not even a baby teaspoon of syrup. Syrup?
Sir.
Syrup.
But now, see, now.
But you
They're
bring it
laughing.
to
They're laughing
me.
at me.
Well, it's better to be left with, not at. They're not at. They're like, oh, that's
He
sweet.
brings his wife frozen waffles, y'all.
Waffles. Big, and you know why? And my husband's gonna say that's it. You're not getting them anymore because I know I still do it in my head. How many calories I'm bringing in? Like the waffles are like 180 calories for two, and I know that my breakfast is under 250 calories, and that's it is like living in your own torturous hell when you are so obsessed with what you feel you look like because it's misconstrued. When I see someone, I have severe body dysphoria. I look and I think I look completely different than how I do. And I don't like looking in a mirror. I don't like passing my image in a window when I walk by it. And that's part of my PTSD because growing up, I heard, oh, if you eat that, you're going to look like your mother. And, and my grandparents would never say anything like that to me. But, I always heard my biological sperm donor talk about, oh, you don't want to end up looking like your mom. Look at all the stomachs that she has, they're holding up, and you hear that growing up. It's like if you hear every single day, I love you, I love you, I love you, then you believe it.
Right.
But if you hear every single day, you're fat and you're ugly, and nobody's ever going to want you, then you begin to believe that too. And so that's really hard. That's really, really hard. And to go and have in the last month within a month, I had 2 surgeries 2 weeks apart. And I was like, that's it. I don't know what else they could do. I don't know what else they could find. If you take a picture of a skeleton, who in school I called it Mr. Bones, and there's not an area on the skeleton that I haven't had massive, major, repetitive surgery on. So, with that being said, it makes it very challenging with all the scars I obtained from the abuse and then the surgery scars. I really do look like a maze of scarring.
You're beautiful.
Thank you. I just don't see it. Oh, there is Stucco.
Hi, Stucco.
And Rusty coming in.
Stucco's our golden retriever. You'll see him all over our Facebook.
This is Stucco for Stucco Squad.
Well, yeah.
And he's just amazing.
He's a real life golden retriever.
Yes, I know you did. But he is red and is sweet and loving. And he has a sense of humor because whenever my husband tries to get close to me, he will jump from like the couch to the chair or whatever. Or if we're in bed, he will jump between us and he shoves my husband away. Like he takes his paws and pushes them off so he can snuggle me. And it's just the funniest thing. And he'll say, boy.
Y'all please be sure. Sorry, I'm eating some Toms.
That's so nasty.
Be sure to go on our website and check out the courses. You'll be directed over to Mighty Network.
Well, it's Mighty Networks, yes.
Uh-huh.
But you go on our website and it says the Academy, and then you hit the little menu down button and it shows you we have Stucco Squad, we have Limitless Recovery for anybody who is going through any type of recovery. You know, even when you have survived abuse, you're still in recovery. You're recovering from being abused. So we have that for anybody in abuse, recovery, or alcoholism, or any kind of drug addiction. We also have the Valor Circle, which I love that logo. It's beautiful. It's for all of the vets. And, you know, I've had people say, well, how can you support the vets when your ex was one? And I say this all the time. I have no issue with the military. I had a really bad orchard of bad apples. That doesn't mean all the military is bad. And I thank people for the service. Michael was Air Force. Mm-hmm. And so that's just not it. I mean, if that's the case, I also should be a lesbian, but I support the LGBTQ community, but because a man beat me, right. A lot of people be like, I could never let a man near me again. Well, one bad apple doesn't make for a horrible apple pie. It just, doesn't do great for it.
That's right. Speaking of military, shout out to Boyd, who we met at Firehouse Sub tonight, U.S. Marine. Thank you for your candor and your conversation.
Can you do it? Ruh.
No, I can't.
Why?
Because I would just slaughter it.
I slaughtered it.
No.
Uh-huh.
No. I'm going to say Chair Force, as they call it.
The Chair Force? Mm-hmm. I bet you do not know this about your wife. I bet you don't know this. When I was 17, I went down and I tried to enlist in the United States Marine Corps.
You tried?
I did. I was a minor. And I took the test. Okay. I know, but I got the certificate saying I was accepted. Uh-huh. And I went first. My grandfather had already passed away. I have it down in the basement somewhere in one of our many storage boxes. And I framed it. And I went down there and I remember going over to my grandmother's first. And then I showed her that I said, I have something to show you. And I showed her the frame. And she's like, what is that? And then I went, nothing. Because I realized that this would probably be the only time she would take a frying pan to me, because that would be a no-go. I went to my bio parents and I said, I want you to see what I did. And of course, if anybody, knew who my bio father is or was, then he was like, you're not going in the blankety blanket. Like, he was totally against military. And he was like, you are not going in the military. And then I didn't end up going, but I did. I tried to enlist in the Marine Corps. So, I mean, see, I don't, and then everything happens and here I am with you. Mm-hmm. But yeah. And the thing is that here is, I learned about this and I wanted to make sure to bring this up because I think this is an absolutely fantastic analogy, metaphor, whatever you choose to use it. If you're standing in front of a group of people, and I have my coffee here, what is this? Is like an 8 ounce, and the cup probably has like 1 ounce left in it. and it's a paper cup. So I want you to imagine you're holding a paper cup. Now, if you're holding it in your hand and you're holding it for a minute, it's fine, right? No big worry. If you're holding it for a minute, nothing. 5 minutes, you might be getting a little, oh, it's kind of getting annoying. It's getting a little, I want to put it down. After about an hour, it gets heavier than it did. And then a day, if you never put it down, it's wearing on you. It's wearing on your hand. It's wearing on your elbow. It's wearing on your shoulder, right? If you hold on to it for 2 days, your hand just ends up almost in a locked position holding the cup in place. That is the same thing with fear and anger and resentment. And the question is, how long are you going to hold on to it? Because something in the beginning that seems so light and not really a heavy burden on you, the longer you hold on to it, the harder it gets. So when I saw that, I was like, wow, because some people in both of our lives and both sides of our family tree branch or bark or whatever you want to call it, hold on to things that are so stupid and tedious that it just doesn't make sense, right?
You know what our listeners are saying right now?
They need coffee at Firehouse?
No.
Firehouse doesn't sell coffee.
They're saying take off your clothes.
What? This is why would you say that on this podcast?
Because you're hanging on to this body dysphoria shit.
Oh, you were trying to be nasty.
Baggy clothes, yes.
I've gotten better. I got rid of
14 double X triple E wide clothes.
Hold on. In fairness, I did get rid of like 4 bags.
You did. And you've gotten smaller clothes, but they still need to come down 18 sizes.
I'm working on it. I am getting better.
And I'm very patient.
But in fairness, I have not done anything to show skin in almost 20 years, in all fairness. Like, we have a hot tub. I don't go in it. If I do, I'm wearing like pajama bottoms and a t-shirt, right? Or, and I don't own a pair of shorts. I don't own a skirt that shows any skin. I hide behind my clothes. And you know what the thing is, and that's one thing that anybody who's ever been through abuse can understand. Every bit of my life was under his control. Like, he would follow me to work. He would call, make sure that I answered my private line in my office. Everything I, wore, he had to approve. My makeup, he had to approve. My hair, he had to approve. And so the only thing that I felt I had, especially after I left, was feeling like I was being wrapped in my own clothes and nobody was going to tell me what I couldn't wear. And so I hid behind baggy clothes. But now when I walk by a store, I look in the mirror and I'm like, oh my God, I'm Paddington Bear. Like, I look like a big bear because I do wear clothes that are very big. And it's not because I'm trying to be, one of these 90s, people that were in the 90s that wore really big pants and big shirts and whatever. I'm hiding who I am behind my clothes. Because let's say, even if I wore a t-shirt, a V-neck, is that right? V-neck t-shirt, I have scars that are going to show just in that little space where the V would be, right? And one of them is pretty long on the side, and it's distinctive from a specific weapon that was used on me. Then there's another one where I took a knife out of my own chest while pregnant, and that's just I get stared at. And the thing is that I cautiously try to divert people's attention away from Faith because I don't want her to feel uncomfortable. Because Faith has had some scars, but she has some badass scars. I am so envious because if you're a mom and your kid has gone through any kind of surgery, yet alone multiple surgeries, this kid is a warrior. Her scars are badass. And, the last thing you want to she rocks them.
Wear a midriff shirt.
Oh, man. But if I looked like Faith, you and I would be having this conversation about me hiding behind big clothes. I mean, she's beautiful. She is so, I made a gorgeous baby.
That's what?
What?
Excuse me?
That's mine all day, all night.
I think I had to say so in that.
That is mine all day, all night.
Negative.
Yeah, she looks just like me, thank God.
Are you kidding? She's got every aspect of me.
What are you? Her laziness is not a physical attribute.
Well, okay, you got a point there.
Yeah, I do have a point there. So we are going to do an event for PTSD month, and I want to start doing more and more events. to bring our academy out there. For those of you that may have lost somebody at some point in time in your life, or maybe, your sister or your mom, 1 in 4 women go through some sort of abuse. And I want what am I like thinking about it? I was given a stat and I checked it, and it's absolutely correct. According to the Veterans Affairs, as of now, 1 in 3 women and 1 in 50 men have experienced military sexual trauma, according to the Veterans Affairs.
Wait, they're admitting it? It does happen?
Yeah, but they don't do anything about it. They cover it up.
Everybody knows that. It doesn't happen.
Right. That's as of now. But and those are the ones that are getting reported. What isn't getting reported, right? And so you are not alone. You are not forgotten.
Yeah, because 1 of 50 men, yeah. Well, you know how society's stipulated men and getting hit or abused by a woman, or it could be another man, I guess.
It could be.
So and they've just been bottling it up and keeping it a secret. They're too embarrassed, too ashamed.
But please understand, you know what? I have people who say to me all the time, your numbers are so big. You've got, millions and millions of listens and views and things, but nobody comments. And I tell people all the time, and I just want to reiterate it. I tell people when I talk to survivors all the time, do not leave comments anywhere on social media, not just our podcast, because if your attacker is out there, you don't want them to find you. We see by our numbers. And when people reach out to us, we see. And to know that we're helping even one person is a reason why we've done this for so long. And I want you to know, and I know my husband agrees when I say this, is you are valid, you are worthy, and you are heard. And while I'm doing these courses that I'm writing, I go in and I'm like trying to find quotes and stuff. And you can go and look for quotes like Google, I need a quote for this. And you look. And I have found like 30 quotes that I've used, which is ironic because it says, quote Victoria Carey. What?
Did you say erotic?
No.
What'd you say?
I don't remember.
This is ironic.
Ironic.
Oh God, I need my hearing aids. Erotic.
You see what I have? Ironic. Yeah. Anyway, so the one thing whenever you're talking in front of people or around anybody else is, if you're ever going to quote somebody, quote yourself. Because we all quote Martin Luther King. We all quote Ronald Reagan. We all quote, Maya Angelou. Okay. We quote Isaac Newton. Who? Maya Angelou.
You said Maya Angelou.
Oh my God. I'm telling you, I'm warning. It's already happened. My husband has told me since I got this wiring in my brain, like some of my words are kind of all wiggy waggy.
I know I'm supposed to wear my hearing aids and I'm partially deaf,
but anyway, so quote yourself and then have that out there because, one of the things I say all the time is that you have survived 100% of your worst days. And there were days I laid on the floor thinking I'd have to die to feel better. And I know a lot of people who've gone through abuse, they know what that's like, where I had no ice packs. I lay on the bathroom floor because that was how I tried to keep the swelling down off my injuries. And that is something nobody should have to go through. But I want you to remember that even in that moment where you think dying would be less painful, you are letting your attacker win, number one. Number two, you have survived 100% of every moment, every day before. I know that sounds tedious, but when you're out of that situation, it is one hell of a thing to carry around with you.
It makes you the winner.
You know what? I never had a tattoo before I was abused except one. Mm-hmm. And it was on my hip. That was it. And it partially had to do with my husband here back at the time told me he didn't like tattoos, so I refused to get one, but that was a long time ago. But I didn't want things on my person that reminded me of him. And when I was stabbed over a dozen times and all the other abuse and all the other scars, I didn't want to look down and see them. And I definitely didn't want Faith to look at me when she was younger and ask, why, what's that, right? So I went and started journaling, if you will, by tattooing over the scars on my forearms, my upper arms, and my back. My shoulder. And my back is clean, thank you. But because like so many times when she'd be going through this, I always used to tell her we're going to walk the journey of life hand in hand as mother and daughter when I was a single mom. And so when she'd be having a procedure done and they tell her you can't talk, they're trying to place a line, I would let her hold my arm and she would just read it back and forth, back and forth. And it was tattooed. The wording is tattooed there. So then I started putting other things. So there's no skulls and there's no, snakes and all that. And if that's what you go for, then, that's you and more power to you. But I also love that kids will come up to me now and be like, oh, what is that? And I'm like, oh, that's a bunny and he's playing golf. Why do you have a bunny playing golf? Well, that's the man that, gave me my life in order of how I wanted to be in life. That was my grandfather. So I compliment him because I called him Bunny. And there he is with a golf club because we played golf together. So they're all fun. And, you can come up and ask me what that is and what's this tattoo and whatever. But you need to look down at yourself, whether inside or outside, in between, anywhere else, and say, this is how many times that son of a bitch tried and failed. He is a coward. And you know what? I know that heavy hand. I know exactly how that heavy hand feels. And at that moment, it doesn't feel like he's a coward. It feels like he's an attack dog and you're his punching ground. But you know what? At the end of the day, you are the stronger one. And you are not that piece of shit at the end of the day, right? You are the powerful one. And there's so much to say for that. And my hat's off to you because I've been there and I understand it. And you don't have to go through this alone. And that's why the Academy was created. So if you're unable to pay for it, and obviously we're not trying to get rich off of it, but we are trying just to keep up the cost of what it costs to maintain this, then you reach out. There's no judgment. And we will take care of that cost for you. We offer scholarships, which we've had a couple people who have already, one person purchased 5 scholarships, somebody else purchased 3. Was it 3? I think it was 3. Yeah. And this was all just yesterday because we really just started putting it out there yesterday. And that allows 8 other people to come in and do these classes. And like I said, we're always trying to mix in free. My goal was to do 1 or 2 classes a week adding, but now I'm like doing 1 or 2 a day. But we're trying to mix in some free with the other ones. And, if you have a sister that's gone through this, I mean, a cup of coffee at Starbucks is like $6 now or something, right? So even if you donate at $5, either once a month or just a one-time $5, that's going to help somebody realize their self-worth again, because inside even the tiniest flicker of light can start a wildfire, and it's so important. And if you ever doubt your self-worth, just come to me or to Michael and we'll remind you of how amazing and beautiful you are. Why are you staring at me like that?
Folks, y'all don't know, some of y'all know this. We share a microphone and we sit like next to each other here in our little bitty office, and we just stare at each other and talk to each other, just kind of casual.
Off the cuff, no
no
script, no.
But the main thing is we sit here and stare at each other as we're talking.
Yep.
And y'all, you can hear in this woman's voice. And if you got a track record with her over the years, we've been following her and seeing the amazing work she does. She is absolutely beautiful inside and outside. Her scars are beautiful and made her a warrior. Okay. Y'all buy this woman a cup of coffee.
No.
Okay.
Don't buy me a cup of coffee. You buy
a cup of coffee. Okay. Because you put your heart and soul into this. And a lot of folks don't know how many hours you put up here in your comfortable chair that I built you yesterday.
Look at you crying. You are crying.
That's just.
There's no pollen in here.
That's it.
You have
turn off the fan. It must be from the fan.
And from the fan.
Beautiful. You know this.
Well, I'm not everybody's cup of tea.
You've been given all these awards, for putting your heart and soul.
Oh, we have.
Everybody knows.
You're the beauty. I'll be the brains. Yeah.
I'm the beauty.
Yeah. That makes me the beast. I have a picture. You have some sexy legs.
It was a cheerleading ball.
No.
It was powder puff football.
What? It was what?
Powder puff football.
Football?
Yes.
Hold on. Say that again.
Football.
Okay. Before he even finishes, I have to tell you, he's going to, like, his eyes are going to be like that Dr. Doolittle. What? Last night, Faith says, Dad, why do you sound like, huh? Like, I don't even know how she did it, but she imitated you perfectly. It was so stinking funny.
Because, once again, she's my daughter.
No, it was hilarious. I mean, she imitated you so perfectly. It was spot on.
Anywho.
Okay, you're still crying. So you dressed up one time in a cheerleader outfit.
We're not talking about, we're talking about getting a couple supporting the contagious smile.
Which is us.
Forget about the dress, okay?
You do have great legs.
You do, though.
You really do.
Bicycle.
You rode a lot more than a bicycle.
You know what? I think that's the end of our show.
No, it's not.
Melissa, contagious. Sexy Victoria and Michael. Bye, y'all.
Bye.